Session times. Session times are a key factor when you should trade. The forex market is open 24 hours a day, 5 days a week. Let's have a look at the 3 key market sessions: Asia, London, and New York. The Asian session. Approximately 21% of all forex transactions are carried out in this session. Liquidity can be quite low. Because of liquidity, most currency pairs will trade within a range, especially if there is a big move in the previous New York session. The London session. London has huge trading volume, with over 32% of all forex transactions. It is the highest period with the most market uptrends and downtrends. Volatility can be very high. The London session is known for high liquidity at the start of the session. The New York session. 19% of all forex transactions are carried out during this session. 85% of trades involve the US dollar. High liquidity in the morning hours when it overlaps the London session. Most economic news reports are released at the beginning of the session. Liquidity and volatility decrease during the afternoon hours. Understanding these session times can be used to your advantage for your trade setups. I am going to show you an indicator on TradingView to identify these main sessions and how I look for confluence for trade entries.
I'm going to show you an indicator that I use now and then to identify different session times. So if you can please go up the top here and see indicators and strategies, click on this and type in Asian session range. You'll see this first one at the top here. Can you please click the favorites and then click on it, and you'll see it pop open up here. You're going to see, exit this, you're going to see a lot of letters, numbers, colors pop open. I'll go into these. So click on settings, and this will pop open. Your inputs, style, visibility. So over here you'll see A. A means Asian session. L means London. N means New York. Okay, and the numbers next to it means the pips it's moved in that session, how far it has. Okay, and over here you got these dotted lines, all these lines up here. I'll go into those as well. Just a quick overview though. So PWH is your previous weekly high, your previous weekly low, and this light yellow line, I'm guessing that'll be your previous daily high or low as well. Okay, I'll go into those though. So if you go into these sessions here, you've got these 3 boxes. I don't use these 3 boxes because I'll show you. So if you change the fading on this, you'll see it go, it fills up the whole screen. I like my sessions to be a lot more compact, so there's less distraction on my charts. So actually I'm going to click these 3 boxes, 1, 2, 3. And then down the bottom here, you'll see your fill Asian range color, New York, London and New York. So if you click on this, I usually change mine to about orange. And let's say you move this up to around the 28% mark or 30% mark. Okay. Do the same for London. I usually only leave my Asian session range on because that's when I trade is around the end of the Asian session and the start of the London session. However, just for this exercise, I'm just going to show you the difference in sessions. So go over to London, let's change that to say red, same thing again. Just move it up a bit so we can clearly identify what range this is. That's London. And now we got New York. Let's change New York to purple. Same again. So if you go over to inputs, I'm going to leave these down the bottom here. You got labels. So I'm going to leave these labels on. I don't have these on. However, I'm just going to show you the difference in pips for that session. So leave that on. You got lines here. These are for your previous weekly highs and low lines. You can go into inputs here and scroll down, and you can go down, and I think it's down the bottom here. It's somewhere down here. Yeah, so you've got to show previous daily, weekly highs and lows. You can put this on. You can change the colors. Show your last week's high and low. Same thing. Change your colors. And you got previous weekly high and low. So yeah. However, let's just for this take off lines, and you can add that in later on. Also, in regards to daylight savings and session times around the Asian session range and other session times, you'll just have to stay up to date with, like, the difference might change an hour or two, okay? However, it won't really matter much once you start identifying how liquidity works, the main session time, and then you've got to add it in with confluence, with imbalance fills, order blocks, okay? The session range, the 1 hour breaks, all that, okay? So if you haven't watched my previous videos before, go back and watch more, because everything I'm teaching you is adding up for the bigger picture of executing high probability trades. All right, so let's go here. You got this previous weekly high on still. One sec. Unclick these boxes. So they're all unticked. Okay, so as you can see here, looks very nice and pretty. We'll just minimize this. Let's just scroll out a bit so you can see everything. All right. So what can you notice about all these sessions? What's the clear one here? The clear one here is the Asian session. So the Asian session is the least liquid, and it usually ranges and is setting up for the London session. All right. And then the London session is setting up for the New York session move. So let's have a look here. You've got the Asian session here. We'll scroll in. Asian session, ranging. London session, this is when it has its move. New York session, had its move backwards. Same again. The Asian session is setting up for the London session. It's come up. We've swept all this liquidity, and now we had a drop. The New York session, continuation, and then we get into the Asian session, ranging. This time here, the London range. However, it still had its move. Came down, swept liquidity here. Came back up. Just before New York session, we swept all this liquidity again and pushed all the way down. Look at this. Asian session, 19 pips. London session, 20 pips. The big move, 55. So depends where you are in the world. Your session times do matter. So I don't usually trade. I'm from Australia. I don't trade during the Australian daytime. It's about 4:30, roughly, when I get on the charts, or 4 o'clock, and start prepping, looking for key areas to execute my trades, short term and long term. Okay. Same again. We ranged 23 pips. London session. This was a continuation. We broke out, we swept all this liquidity, came up, retested this breaker block, and continued on upwards. 46 pips had moved. Same with New York. Came up, and then usually around, I know, from 10:30 to 1:30 in the morning, there is a key move. It's either a continuation move or we're having an imbalance fill to move back down. Okay? So you can just go through and you can see what the different sessions do. Asian session, ranging. We've had, you can see, if you watch my previous videos, we've got this clear. You've got this clear sell range and change of trend. Moved up. Continue on. See how the big moves are in London. New York. This is setting up. This is just a continuation. Same again, ranging, setting up for London in New York. Broke up, it's coming up, feeling this imbalance. So look, this is just a basic understanding of how to look at session ranges. You will see on some of my charts I have the Asian sweep. I'm going to go into more detail in this in further videos. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this content, remember to like and subscribe and check out our other links in the description below. Trade safe and have a great day. Thank you.